And good Monday morning to everybody out there on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the 359 podcast with Roger Cheng and Ben Fox Rubin. Good morning, guys. What are we talking about today?
Morning. Happy Monday, everyone.
Woo!
We're going to be talking about two topics. The big merger Monday deal, Walmart buying Jet.com for $3 billion.
Yes.
Billion.
Yes, with a B.
I don't know if people have even heard of Jet.com, but
They will now.
They will now, for sure.
Wow.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk a little bit about Delta and how a power outage, of all things, knocked out pretty much their entire system, canceled 300 flights. So,
Good God.
Sorry if you're on a Delta flight today, because it is not gonna be a good day for you.
Yeah.
So,
you guys can crash at my house.
as always, if you have any questions about these topics or anything else, we will try our best to answer. Our producer Brian will pick out the best questions after the actual podcast taping, and we'll try to answer them. So why don't we get started?
All right, platform set, audio's rolling, and let's record in 3, 2.
Welcome to the 359, where we talk about the top tech news of the day and all the other crap we want to throw in. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
It's Merger Monday again. Walmart is hoping to supercharge its online ambitions with a $3 billion purchase of Jet.com. In its early days, Jet.com was hyped as a potential Amazon killer.
Early days?
Early days.
This thing is like a year old.
So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, is that definitely that hype was not warranted, right?
That's hard to say because they're keeping the senior team in Walmart. And so Jet started with about like $500 or $600 million, which is really good for a startup. But still, how are you going to take on Amazon with that kind of money? It's really not enough. So now Jet is going to have Walmart's coffers, and it could create much more significant competition for Amazon, but probably not in the short term.
Right.
You know, we might see something a couple years from now. I don't know.
Well, look, you wrote this piece last year.
Yeah,
on
around
Jet.com,
December.
About Jet.com, its use of algorithms to kind of figure out the best deals for you. Does that mean Walmart gets more nimble and actually gets you better deals online? Or?
So that's a good question. In their press release today, Walmart mentions that Jet and Walmart are going to have separate brands. So Walmart.com is going to do its thing. Jet.com is going to continue to exist as its own brand. So is Walmart going to change Walmart.com and start adding some of those fancy real-time discounts?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like to see that because have you ever shopped on Jet? Like, have you ever used it? No?
Nope.
Very quick.
Like everyone else I know. Nope.
Right. Exactly. So I'm an e-commerce reporter, so I have shopped on Jet, and I do actually kind of like that. You know, if you waive free returns, you save like 7 cents on a bunch of like the soap that you purchase or the detergent or whatever. So those might be some nice little add-ons if they do add them to Walmart. I don't know that they will, though.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's I don't know. I think the biggest problem is no one knows what Jet.com is. Hopefully, Walmart is the answer for that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think an even bigger problem is that Amazon is just such a suffocating like juggernaut when it comes to e-commerce. And you would think like in the online world, so much else in online is competitive. Actually, now that I'm saying it, that's not true. Facebook dominates social.
Right.
Google dominates search, and Amazon dominates e-commerce, but I would like to see more competition.
Like the thing of it is Walmart's looking at this from the narrow lens of retail. Amazon's already sort of expanded beyond that, right? Media, shows,
drones.
They've got all. They're everything basic. They are literally the everything store, whereas Walmart's still trying to work on the whole e-commerce thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Good luck to them.
Good luck. Next up, my sympathies if you're on a Delta flight today. A power outage in its headquarters in Atlanta knocked out its system, and the company had to cancel about 300 flights today.
Ouch.
Yeah, it just surprised me that it took something as simple as a power outage to just knock out an entire nation's worth of flights. Right?
I was saying this earlier that the airline is now using Twitter as a backup to inform people. Twitter has its own like fail whale and its own problems, so I think you're really kind of screwed if you're using Twitter as a way to inform people about things. But
well, we had someone on the ground, although I think he's literally in the air now. But Terry Collins was out in D.C. trying to catch a flight back home, and he was on a Delta flight and had to deal with the delays. Fortunately, he was one of the few flights that actually made it through. But it is Yeah, not a great day if you're a Delta flyer.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but this, I guess, proves that I don't know a lot about airplanes and such, because, like, how did this even happen? Didn't they have backups?
Right.
I don't know.
Where's
I don't get
redundancy?
it. Yeah.
I don't know. Want to know more about these stories? Check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
Thanks for listening.
And that's a cut on the audio recording. And we do want people to feed their questions in, and we got a few coming in right now. But I'm kind of curious, as a e-commerce participant, if that's the right terminology.
Sure, why not?
Will Jet
Could also
maintain
say
its
a shopper.
identity, or will it just be absorbed into like a grander Walmart shopping experience?
So
and they just kind of buy the back end.
That is definitely a good question. I think Jet has about 3 warehouses it currently owns and operates. Walmart has its own. I don't know off the top of my head exactly how many. It would probably make sense from a position of scale to combine those two so that it is in the back end you are buying the same stuff. Because a lot of times when you're on Walmart.com or you're on Jet.com, what are you getting? You're getting like diapers or like a frozen shirt.
Patio furniture.
Yeah, patio furniture. A lot of it is like commoditized consumables anyway. So I don't think that like people are really going to notice or care about the difference as to whether their items are being fulfilled by a Walmart warehouse or a Jet warehouse. Mm-hmm. It does sound to me, though, that Jet is going to be able to continue to maintain some sort of independent status, because I know a lot of tech companies these days, even after an acquisition, continue to get to be, their own thing, kind of like how Instagram is under Facebook.
Although I would say I would be disappointed if Walmart doesn't take advantage of some of the technology, the algorithms,
Totally.
right? Like, it just seems like a waste, like having this sub-brand. To me, that's not worth the deal.
I just really wonder what Walmart has been doing with Walmart.com this whole time. Walmart.com's existed for about 15 years.
Right.
And they make, God, I don't remember. They make about $500 billion in revenue a year.
Walmart does, yes.
13 billion of it is from their online channels. Like, that's embarrassing.
13 billion?
13 billion out of the 500 billion is online, is their e-commerce sales. Like, that's
it's
not that good.
Think about it, though,
right.
As with the way Walmarts exist, massive superstores at every corner kind of thing. Granted, there are holes and pockets across international presence. Right, they're in Canada now, aren't they?
They're overseas.
They're in China.
Why would you go to the .com when you could literally go out your front door? It's hard to not find a Walmart, and their shelf stock is a lot greater in comparison to other stores that have online presence where it's an online-only type purchase. You can't find this necessarily in your neighborhood. You probably will, because Walmarts are gigantic, daunting, like, dinosaurs of
right, and Walmart.com has kind of been second fiddle to Walmart, and so their inventory hasn't been as good either.
Part of the problem is that yes, right now people are still preferring to go out to these brick and mortar stores, but we're slowly shifting. That next generation is not really, they're not big fans of going out to the real world and buying stuff. They want to click on their phone and order something.
Fair, but I think there's something to be said that, and like this is not me like endorsing Walmart in any way, shape, or form, that it's kind of impressive that they've maintained that. They're one of the last ones that really get people in the door.
I mean, I think that's partly because it's, like you said, scale, right?
Yep.
Like, very few other companies, look at Circuit City or Barnes & Noble, well, not Barnes & Noble,
Eventually.
Yeah, Borders, eventually Barnes & Noble. Look at these other retailers. They didn't have the scale to compete with everything, and so that's why they got gobbled up.
And the demographic for Walmart tends to skew a little older.
Yes.
Might
but that's
not
the
be
thing.
as tech-savvy, but that will change.
Yeah, there is sort of a shelf life on them. Like, they see the future. The writing's on the wall.
Eventually they did.
They did, yeah. It took them a while.
It took them 20 years, but that's okay. Well, hopefully there will be more competition. That's what I'm hoping to see from this.
Randall surmises it well. He says, obviously Walmart is a profits titan, and I think if Walmart bought, it's because they see the horizon with that profit.
Yeah.
It goes without saying. Yeah, right on the nose, Randall. Bossum says that he thinks with Walmart's support, Jet.com will see greater success, be more competitive.
I've seen Jet.com commercials. It's not like they were completely invisible, but I just never really gave them the time of day.
Look, it takes a really long time to build trust in the marketplace, to develop a brand presence, and they've been doing that, but they've only really existed for about a year, and so they were doing this basically from scratch.
Right.
That's really, really hard to do. So at least you know that Jet is in some ways going to continue to exist under the Walmart brand.
It definitely
they paid
has
dearly for
definitely
it.
has an air of legitimacy under Walmart for sure.
Right, exactly, because I think a lot of folks were like, okay, you just raised a ton of money as a startup, but you guys are going to be spending like crazy trying to get the word out.
Yeah.
Now people that are Jet customers at least know Jet is going to continue to exist.
I want to run a few numbers by you, by the way. Just they disclosed today that they add about 400,000 new shoppers every month and process an average of 25,000 orders each day. Is that good or bad?
I mean, for a startup, it's definitely good. They also have this one number, not to get too wonky here, but they mentioned in their press release that they are on a run rate for gross merchandise volume of $1 billion. Okay, $1 billion sounds like a lot, but gross merchandise volume means this is what Jet.com sells and also all the third parties that are on Jet.com.
Right. So it's not like Jet.com is actually making that $1 billion.
Right. That's not a revenue number. That's like all the stuff that sells on our website. Right. And a run rate, it basically means that we're going to take the best month out of our 12 months.
And then we're on pace.
And then we're going to multiply. We're going to say we're on pace. We're going to multiply that by 12 and say, well, we did ridiculously well in March, and if we have more Marches for the rest of the year.
Yeah, theoretically, we have this number.
Yeah, so look, like those numbers sound pretty good to me for as young a company as it is, but it's still like not very big compared to Amazon. I mean, you have to compare them all to Amazon, because like that's the big kahuna.
David says that the website, Walmart's website as is terrible and reinforces my point that he would rather just go to the store to get what he needs, which he'll probably find.
I honestly think that Walmart has been ignoring its website for a long time, or at least not putting enough into it.
As I told you last holidays, I used Walmart.com to buy a video game.
I got a dust buster on Walmart.com, so it's not like a
Cyber Monday or Black Friday special.
It was it was one of those. It was something like that, and it was just slightly cheaper than Amazon.com.
I would say the experience of it was fine. It just wasn't as slick as Amazon. Like it definitely wasn't anywhere near as easy as Amazon.
Also not as cheap, because El Checker says hopefully they can lower the prices, because apparently there's not a whole lot of monetary incentive to use Walmart.com. Prices are high. You're not actually getting a better deal to go online. They want you at the store.
Well, and I think that they have a $50 minimum for free shipping, which is, free shipping these days, like people kind of take it for granted, especially if you're a Prime member. Not so.
Although if you're not a Prime member,
Amazon.
what is the minimum?
Or not so
is
with
it 35?
With Amazon?
Yeah, what's the
35. And it's also, by the way, 35, I believe, for Jet.com. So maybe Walmart will lower the price. I'm not sure.
We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah. Speaking of, Ben, you said you've used Jet.com.
Yeah.
Give us a little more background and information on the user experience and their history, because people are curious. Like, recurring comments, what's Jet.com? Why have I never heard of this?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So Jet.com was started by Mark Lohr, who is kind of like an e-commerce wonderkind. He's like 45 years old, but he started Quidsy, which you don't know that name, but Quidsy was a parent company for Soap.com, Diapers.com, and Wag.com. Mm-hmm. That company was sold in 2011 to Amazon for $545 million. He proceeded to work for Amazon for a couple of years, kind of chafed at that, and then decided he was going to do his own thing. And so he started Jet. Jet officially launched only like last summer. Mm-hmm. And look, I think their mobile is actually pretty good. They have their own app, and I'm pretty happy with the app. Sometimes I can't find what I want, like the search isn't that good sometimes, but I think they have been improving that. And online, like they're also pretty all right. But the differentiator that they have is that they have this real-time algorithm. They say it's kind of like a trading platform where basically if you purchase bulk orders or you purchase a lot of items from the same warehouse, they cut the price down for you the more stuff that you buy.
Right.
So it's
like a loyalty card almost.
Well, no, it's more like the prices are fluid though, depending on the specific situation, right?
Yeah. So if I buy like one thing of deodorant, it's this price. But if I buy 5, they'll cut the price for every single one of them. Right. So it's this pretty clever way of gamifying shopping, and I always end up buying a little bit more than I might normally because I'm like, now I get all these other discounts if I just buy one more thing.
Isn't that right in line with like the Walmart business model though? Walmart Sam's Club. It's like, I could buy like
the bulk buying,
a 6-pack of ramen noodles, but they have 40 for $8, so I'll get 40.
Well, that's like the Costco model, right?
Yeah, exactly. Same.
Yeah. So I agree with you that Walmart continues to try to get people in the store because invariably, if you do go in the store, you are going to make some impulse buys, and then end up like I was planning on spending $12 and I ended up spending $50 instead. The thing is that like we're in 2016, like their online presence isn't big enough, and they know that, and they're the world's biggest retailer. So, well, by total revenue. So I think this Jet thing is an admission that they're like, we have to get much more serious about web, and we have to get much more serious like right now, like yesterday. So, yeah, hopefully that was some helpful info.
Finally on board with the 21st century.
Yep.
Yeah. Took them long
20
enough.
years.
Yeah, took them 20 years.
That's fine.
Do we have any flights coming out of this office anytime soon? That's a bummer.
What, the Delta thing?
The Delta thing is killing me. But like you say, that's embarrassing that one power outage. But remember a couple years ago, one power outage took down our CNET email servers.
That's true. One power outage took down basically the Northeast corridor for the Northeast.
That was a couple years ago,
That was more than a couple of years ago, but yeah.
Were you in the city when that happened?
I was in New Jersey. It was Jersey City.
Was there an outage there,
There was an
too?
outage there, but I remember I was living in Hoboken, home of Jet.com, and for whatever reason, our apartment had a generator downstairs. We were like the only building, like within like the square mile, whatever, that had power. So people were looking up at our apartment because we had our lights blasted on, AC running. We're just like, hey guys, check us out.
Anybody watching been affected by the Delta outage or know somebody that's been affected by the Delta outage? We'd be curious to hear. Like we said, a couple of our reporters have been kind of backseated in the process. It's just, it's going to show that.
And it wasn't. We didn't send Terry out there specifically to cover this. He just happened to be like waiting for his flight when he got hit with the delay, like everybody else.
And he's sitting there like, gold.
So he's like texting me like, hey, have we covered this? I'm like, yes, we're on top of it. So.
Outage took out Spirit in February and Southwest in June. Thank you for that, L Checker. Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about those.
Yeah.
L Checker, that's a regular for us.
It's just proving that the tech world is not invulnerable.
No.
Yeah, well, especially companies like the airline guys, they're not exactly known for high tech, right? Like I remember the Delta CEO was speaking at this conference like 2 years back when he's getting all these questions about, it was a tech conference, and he just sort of scoffed at the whole notion of tech in general. She's like,
what?
I don't understand this stuff. Like it just seemed like he clearly didn't really care about tech. Like
airplanes used to be tech.
Airplanes are tech. He should care about airline tech. Maybe not necessarily.
No, he cared about
because they still say that you have to turn your phone off to get on a plane.
Right, but he didn't care about some of the more like cloud services, mobile apps, that stuff. Like they do that, but it didn't seem like that wasn't really his focus.
Right, because
it's not his job to be that focus.
Because they put you on the airplane and then you're completely disconnected from the ground. So what do they care about any of that stuff?
That's true.
Yeah.
Any last questions?
No, I think it's about time to wrap up. That was a good show.
All
cool.
Right. Awesome.
And hopefully we don't have any traveling in our near future.
Yeah.
I'm traveling in like 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks.
Be fine by then.
Actually, I'll be traveling quite a bit.
Knock on wood.
There we go. All right, let's wrap things up here. If you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET.com. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, TuneIn, and FeedBurner.
Well done.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Woo!